Jump right into it, man. Just to get the conversation going. But Uman, appreciate you joining me. I know taking time out of your busy day, and it's what time? What time where you're at right now?
It's actually 2 a.m. So it's
2 a.m.
pretty,
Yeah,
pretty damn late. Yeah.
yeah. That's absolutely crazy. So you must be. You said you were working yesterday. You're working a lot with Japan and stuff. So hopefully I don't keep you too long. But I do appreciate you jumping in here and joining me. So I've been following you for quite some time. I can't really pinpoint it to an exact date. So I've been following your journey through Instagram. I joined Instagram probably April, May last year. Shortly after that, I followed you. And for those of you that don't know, Uman is the founder of the page Lowpopping. Lowpopping is Instagram page, about 17,000 plus followers, um, dedicated to collecting essentially. Not just Pokemon, but there's some video games, there's some Yu-Gi-Oh. So it's really similar to what I was collecting on my journey. So that's why I connected so much with your Instagram, Uman. Similar stuff, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, video games. I do. It seems maybe a little bit more in sports. I'm doing some stuff in sports, but not a whole lot. But yeah. So just really big fan of yours, and I appreciate you taking some time to join me. So if you wouldn't mind, maybe just a general introduction of yourself, and that more than I guess what I've already done for you. But if there's anything you'd like to add.
Of course. So thank you very much, Josh, for inviting me on your channel today. And thank you for all the kind words. My name's Umer, and I am based in London, in the United Kingdom. My regular job is I'm actually a medical doctor. That's what I do normally. That's my regular job. Although I have recently actually left my job, and I've started to focus on a business within the collectible space. And I have a brand known as Lowpopping, which is my Instagram name at Lowpopping, where as you said, we collect lots of different things. It's mostly Pokemon cards, but we also collect. We also go into a bit of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, video games, a little bit of. I've had some experience in sports cards, not that much.
Yeah.
And also a little bit into NFTs as well, but mostly Pokemon cards. And so that's my business page, Lowpopping, and essentially we buy and sell high-end collectibles. That is basically what we do. And it really everything kind of started just as collecting. I think most people fall into a hobby like this initially through collecting. Whether they form a business later down the line, it usually stems from collecting at first. You have a passion for something. I had a passion for Pokemon cards, and I started to collect Pokemon cards. I was collecting the cards when I was a kid for such a long time, and it came back into early 2020, and then from there 2020 happened, prices went up, they went through the roof, and I sold a certain amount of items back then. I received capital to which I have now developed a business, as I said, where I buy and sell collectibles. So that's kind of, I guess, my my kind of introduction as it's at the moment.
Yeah. So you had mentioned early last year you kind of got back into it, and I looked at your Instagram. Your first post, I think, was April of 2020. So was it like a COVID thing? Like you had some downtime? I couldn't imagine that being a doctor, but what was going on in April to where you wanted to start your Instagram and kind of get this thing moving?
Oh yeah, so basically, what it was I take it back to early 2020, I had an injury from the gym and I had to take some time off work. And this was kind of right at the end of 2019. So I was recovering, doing my rehab, getting better. And, you know, when you're at home a lot, you have time and then you start to do different things. And I just happened to stumble across my Pokemon card collection from when I was a kid. And I just decided to kind of look into it. This was right at the beginning of 2020. And then I looked at the values, you know, I looked at eBay, I learned about completed listings. I tried to find out, you know, what are they worth, right? I think when you first come into the hobby, you don't really know about completed listings. You just look at what priced at.
Active,
and yeah, that's what you think. And then you're like, oh, that's what it's worth. But actually, that's not what it's worth. That's just what people price it at. People can price items through the roof, right? Or through the moon, right?
Yeah.
You can price an item at whatever price you want, but that doesn't mean it will sell or that's its value, right? But I got excited when I saw what people were listing Charizard EX for, because like I collected a lot during the EX era, as well as that was actually a lot of my childhood. So I'm 29 years old, and I collected initially, you know, base set, jungle, fossil, rocket. You know, I think gyms, I kind of started to fall off a bit. I think most people would have started to fall off around gym time, you know, and then Neo time, a lot more people fell off, I would say, by Neo time. And then EX era, a lot more fell off. It was just literally like, you know, it just became less and less popular. Pokemon, from when it came in 1999, it was just a big smash. And then its popularity slowly started to decline. And so anyway, I have two phases, kind of, you know, first gen WotC and then EX era for many years, and no one was collecting EX era, and I was like the only kid I knew, and you know, and I had a full, you know, so many EX cards. Anyway, let's fast forward to 2020 now. You know, I've got time off work, I'm recovering, I'm bored. I start to learn about Pokemon cards, and then I realized, wait a minute, there's a secondary market for Pokemon cards. Like, people are actually paying thousands of dollars for these Pokemon cards. And I was just like, what the hell is going on? And I decided to look into it deeper. I started to, you know, that was not a signal for me to sell my collection. Like, oh, my Pokemon cards are worth money. Actually, it was the signal to do the opposite. Find out more and find out what's going on, because how have they become so valuable? Like, if anything, that to me, that was a sign maybe I should just hold on to it if they're becoming valuable. So I didn't jump as soon as I found out my Pokemon card collection was valuable. I did not jump to selling it. I jumped to learning more about this hobby. And that's what I did with my free time in early 2020. I started to learn. I spent a month just learning, just studying Pokemon cards. And like most people, I went back into base set, jungle, fossil, all these original sets. I did my research, I spoke with people, and I wanted to get the best of the best. I wanted to go for first edition PSA 10s. So I started to build up a collection of first edition PSA 10s. And at this time, at the beginning of 2020, you had first edition base set, which was all the way up here. All the other sets, jungle, fossil jungle, rocket, gym sets, they were like worth nothing. And even the Neo, like right at the beginning of 2020, and even Neo sets, they just weren't worth much. And I was like, well, you know, first edition bases up here, and then you've got jungle, fossil, rocket, gym, all the way down here. You know, you could get, you know, when I jumped back into the hobby, you know, you could get, you know, like a Vaporeon or a Jolteon, a Flareon for a few hundred, you know, $500 or less, you know, maybe even less. And I was looking at these prices, and then I was looking at, oh, then you can look at like first edition base Nidoking is like, oh, that might be $2,000. And I was just like, oh, well, you know, maybe jungle might catch up, or rocket might catch up, or gym. And then I decided to actually start collecting fossil and rocket. And then I started to become obsessed with low pop, because I saw what started to happen at the beginning of 2020 was all the low pop cards from all these sets started popping off. Do you remember that? When when early 2020, all of the low pops, they were the first ones to go up pretty much, right? Were low pop ones, right? Dark Magneton was one of the big hitters that just went up and up. First edition PSA 10 from Team Rocket. Pop 46 at the time. I'm not sure what it is right now. It might be like 51, 52. But at the time it was 46. And that one just spiked out of nowhere to like $2,500, $3,000 after being worth around $500. And it wasn't just that. Blaine's Moltres. There were a lot of those low population cards that just started to spike. And then I started to hunt out initially. So I was trying to complete these sets, and whenever I had an opportunity to buy like a low pop WotC first edition PSA 10 card, I would always try and go for it. And that's kind of like how I started my collecting. And this was kind of early 2020. Then even before, you see, the thing is, Pokemon cards weren't going up after COVID. They were going up before COVID. They were 100% going up before COVID. COVID is what propelled the rise of these collectibles. But I was seeing in front of my eyes that these cards were going up and up and up in like the few months before COVID. Now, not every set was popping off, but there were definitely sets which were popping off before COVID. So when people put all this down to COVID, I disagree with it. Or Logan Paul, I disagree with it, because we were already having like an organic rise without hype in this hobby. And anyway, what happened was a few months later, so COVID happened, right? COVID happened, March 2020, and then lockdowns, etc. And there was mass panic. Everything was going crazy. The stock market kind of crashed. It did crash, actually. It did crash. There was crashes. Everything kind of crashed
100%.
initially before they kind of started going up. And maybe even during those couple of weeks, maybe even Pokemon cards might have been weaker, if I remember correctly. Like during that initial, like, as soon as COVID hit, I think I would have said, from my memory, that as soon as it hit, everyone was panicking. But then afterwards, that's when, I don't know if I would say normalization, but people started to allocate their wealth in different spaces, and that's when you started to see collectibles go up, and Pokemon cards were going up, sports cards were going up, and my cards I bought only like a few months ago had doubled or tripled in a matter of weeks or months. And I was just shocked, because I have never seen anything in my life where I've just bought something and it's doubled in like a matter of weeks. Right. And sure, there is cryptocurrency, right? There are things that happen, but I hadn't had the exposure at the time to any kind of items which had gone up so much. So what I decided to do at that time was, as time was going on, because I was still quite amateur into the hobby back then, I was learning and learning and learning. And then I came to the conclusion that I thought, actually, I think first edition base set is probably where I want to collect / invest, because there are so few first edition base boxes left in the world, and those populations were just not going to rise that much, and they haven't risen much and neither have a lot of the other WotC first edition PSA 10 holos, but especially first edition base set. Those populations, like, I looked at the trends. I understood that there's so little sealed product. Compare that to Jungle and Fossil, they are being ripped open every week, but even if they are, it's so hard to get that PSA 10 grade. But I don't I mean, a lot of people think that nowadays it's harder to get the PSA 10. That's what a lot of people feel that way. But it's it is, regardless, it's extremely hard. And I wanted to go into some, because I was putting a lot of money in, right? I was putting in money that I could have put in to buy a house into Pokemon, So I was putting a lot of money in. It's automatically become some level of investment, it wasn't just collecting when I started to put like money that I could be using for like a house, really, because I had some savings. And I put it all into Pokemon cards, basically, at the beginning of 2020. Yeah. And I think that at the time, you can say that there was definitely, I was excited I was excited. I was getting back into Pokemon cards, and
Oh yeah.
I believed in it. I was expecting that, yeah, you know what, I want to collect this stuff. I believe in it. And I also thought it would go up in value. So I thought all of that. I thought that I like the hobby, I'll collect it. I think it will go up in value that when I first bought it. But then they drastically rose far quicker than when I had, saw. And that's also what kind of almost scared me a little bit, because I was like, I wasn't expecting these rises. And that's when I decided to sell some of my collection. It was during this kind of like, kind of April, May kind of time, etc. And I started to put it into first edition base. Then first edition base popped off. And then I kind of held on to a lot of my first edition base for a very long time. So, I can't remember, what was your exact question again? Sorry, I've just kind of got into,
No, yeah, I was basically just talking about early 2020, what got you into it. But yeah, that all was very related and just very good answers, just in depth and good to know kind of your history on that. And we kind of went into kind of the next thing I wanted to talk about, which was collection goals. You kind of went through a bunch of it, what you were doing in 2020, chasing first edition, which is huge. Obviously, that's where you should have went. Trophy cards probably weren't as talked about back then. I know you're trying to dabble in that now quite a bit. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But your collection, the first edition base, did you end up selling most of it, or is it now migrated towards a new goal?
Yeah, so I held on to, I put all my money initially. Like I had maybe $30,000 in savings, right? I put all of it into initially first edition WotC. So like, Jungle, Fossil, Rocket, Gym, kind of low pops. That stuff went up a lot, double, etc.
Yeah.
And I decided to, and at the time, first edition base hadn't moved. So I reallocated my funds into first edition base. I held on to it for a very, very long time, and even through the boom through October, I just was quite hesitant to sell it, because I had a real attachment to first edition base, because it is the first ever set. It's it's so the hollows, they're just not increasing in population. I had a huge attachment to the set. I love looking at them. There was definitely a strong level of emotional attachment to that set for me, and I was quite reluctant. So I did not sell those cards for a very, very long time. It was actually after the boom. I think I may have sold maybe one or two cards during maybe a few. Like I was selling some cards, but I wasn't selling like my big hitters, like my hollows. I had quite a few first edition base and hollows. I wasn't selling those ones. I was selling like the non-hollows. Like I sold like a Bulbasaur for $2,000 or something, a Charmander for $2,000, because I thought that was way too much for what they should be worth, in my personal opinion, because they were non-hollows, right? I know that they peaked up to maybe $6,000 or whatever, but I decided to get rid of them when they were at $2,000, right? I decided to sell them because I just thought that they were worth too much. Took the money out and put it into I think I put it into maybe like another hollow. To be honest with you, there was a time where those starters were literally almost worth hollow prices, and that was, to me at least, crazy. That's why I decided to almost take the money out there. So anyway, I did end up selling a lot of my first edition base. This was maybe around the February time. And this was because it had turned, through everything that I had done, whether it was the trading, from mostly other WotC sets to first edition base, it had grown to be quite a significant value, and I wanted to, I wanted to buy a house basically. So I decided to, definitely, it was kind of the February time. I did sell off most of my collection of my first edition base. I decided to sell most of it off. And I decided to actually buy a house because I thought that was a better move for me at the time. So I got a house, and I was actually looking to potentially get another one. But actually, I decided not to. I was trying to get another house that deal actually fell through. So I had some level of cash, quite a large amount of cash that I had essentially made from the Pokemon cards going up in value. And I decided to start buying. And, this was kind of almost the beginning of 2021, kind of early mid 2021, decided to start buying and selling the cards. And it almost, because I was doing so much, I had quite a large collection, and I was just selling off my collection initially.
Yeah.
And then I got into the habit of selling, and then I was building up my page, and then people were saying, hey, you sell stuff quite quickly. Do you want to sell my stuff? And then it all came into, like almost a position where, and, people would reach out to me saying, are you buying anything? And it just became a thing almost where I kind of naturally fell into the place where I'm starting to buy cards and sell cards essentially. And, really, since then, I decided not to get the second house. I decided to keep my money and, turn this into a business, as I said, where I'm buying and selling cards, and I focus mostly on the more high-end stuff. During my journey in 2021, I've been able to definitely, as I've become more and more knowledgeable through the last 2 years. Initially you start off on, on what you grew up with. That's probably where you'll probably start.
Everybody.
And most people will go to WotC, but there are people who might initially just go to EX era, or younger people who might go to Diamond and Pearl era if that was their childhood when they were very young. So that's where you start. But as you kind of learn more and more about the hobby, you might stay within that area. You might like another area. But if you really go into the hobby, you might go into the Japanese area as well. Then there's Japanese promos, there's Japanese trophy cards, prize cards, etc. And I ended up finding myself into these Japanese cards, and I was learning about them for a long time. What was this trophy Kangaskhan? Why is it so expensive? Blah 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 blah. And I would watch people on YouTube, and I was looking at it for a long time, but it wasn't until around mid 2021, so we're talking about 6 months ago, that I started to get involved properly in trophy cards and prize cards and these things of this nature. And through this journey of doing what I've been doing, I have been able to get one of the cards I own is essentially one of the best cards in the hobby, and it's my super secret battle trophy card, SSB, as people know, number 3 trainer. It's it's the trophy card that I've always wanted, and it comes with the winner's plaque. So it was handed out, was the trophy card that was given directly to the winner of that regional tournament. So I've definitely been lucky, but I've been working hard as well. I've been buying and selling and doing these things, and I've managed to build up a good collection at the moment, which is actually more Japanese orientated at the moment. To be honest with you, it's more I've got more in terms of my personal collection, it's more kind of, now I'm more of the mindset, I rather go for those trophy cards. That's what I like more for myself. So big hitter is that SSB that I've got. And outside of that, outside of the stuff I personally collect, as I said, there is the buying and selling, which I do as a business as well. But in terms of actual collecting goals, it's really getting those high-end rare trophy cards, the ones that, even if you had the money, you might not be able to get it. But that's what I want, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
Because you could offer if you offered $300,000 right now, you probably get a first edition PSA 10 Charizard very, very quickly, right? Like if you offered that amount today, because there's enough available. And I'm not trying to say anything negative. I mean, that is the holy grail of the hobby, and that's the pinnacle of the hobby. It's not the most rare card, but it's very desirable. It's the blue chip card. But for me, from a collecting stance, I desire the cards which you can offer money and you can't get sometimes. Those are the ones, and that's just for me the desire I have for what I want to get, because you know, it's that real rarity that I treasure. And I still, don't get me wrong, let's never forget what the blue chip card is, right? That's very liquid relatively for an item at that price point. It's incredible. I would love to own one. I've never owned a first edition base 10 Charizard. I've owned a Venusaur first edition base 10 base, which I loved, but a Mewtwo, but I haven't owned a Charizard. But again, if you give me you know, $300,000, for example, and actually just going back, so that, you know, when I said, you know, $300,000, you could probably find one. The market's always changing. You know, the market's always changing. Let's up it. I guess I could confidently say, if you offered $400,000, you would immediately get a first edition base PSA 10 Charizard. I would say that. Would you agree with that?
I think 300 might not get one of the 100-ish people that have them out of the woodwork, but 400 probably easily.
Yeah. I would say so. So, but again, you know, if you're talking like a 1997 Pikachu trophy, old back trophy, #1 trainer, you know, you might just never get that card. You know, there's certain cards which you might never get. So, and that's what I rather, you know, for me, it's not about collecting like tons and tons of items, if that makes sense. It's about, like, I rather work 6 months, 12 months just to get one piece. You know, that's kind of what I would prefer to do, and that's just me. And everyone's different. Everyone's got different collecting goals. So really, like, I want to get a very, very high-end trophy card again next, a different one. Uber rare, super hard to find. That is priceless to me. You know, that's what I want from a collecting stance.
Yep. So going away from the condition rarity and more for actual scarce cards that are really low pop.
Yeah, well, you know what it is, man. Do you know what it is? Let's never ignore conditional rarity, because you know, conditional rarity is critical to the hobby. PSA 10 is conditional
100%.
rarity, right? You know, a first edition base Charizard is valuable in PSA 10 because of conditional rarity. And I know that you know, you have some hardcore trophy collectors who say, "Oh, well, I can just get Charizard in lower condition." But I mean, at the end of the day, it's there's two sides of things. There's absolute rarity you get in trophy cards, which is very important, and there is conditional rarity. Now, if I ever had the BGS 10 first edition Charizard, I would treasure that just as much as I treasure any trophy card, because it's also got that conditional rarity. And if that makes sense, I don't put conditional rarity as almost, like, in my personal opinion, I don't put it as less than absolute rarity. Like, I think they're both different things, if that makes sense. You know, if you have both, that's incredible. You know, like a Pikachu Illustrated PSA 10 is an example of both. So, but you know, and again, you know, the popularity in that Charizard far outweighs the popularity in any trophy card, in my personal opinion. And we can't forget that. You know, supply is just one side of the equation, demand's the other. You know, you can have a rare card, no one cares about it, it's not valuable. So we can't forget demand. Demand is so critical to the value of a good or service or collectible item. In fact, you know, so we should never forget the demand. But in terms of absolute rarity, I like it. But again, like, if I could get conditional rarity on like a Grail card that's like pop 1, I would love that just as much. I would treasure that just as much as an absolute rarity trophy card. I would treasure them the same. And that's just me. That's how I would treasure it. So again, imagine you had a BGS 10 first edition base Blastoise pop 1. And I don't think there's any right now, but imagine you had that. That card's on another level, man. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's on another. It's on. So and it's not just me. There are many collectors who would value that conditional rare, the extreme conditional rarity, and that's why do modern black labels sell for thousands of dollars? Why? It's conditional rarity.
Yeah, it's like Hidden Fates Charizard. I think there's pop. I don't even know how many of those selling for $5,000. There's over 20. I want to say now black labels, and that to me it doesn't make so much sense because you got Pop One, Wizards of the Coast era Japanese cards that are black labels that sell for. Says Charizard's liquid though, so it's always going to be the Michael Jordan of Pokemon. So
yeah, and just one more thing I want to say. I want to say this, and this is important. If you go and look in sports cards, now look, I'm not an expert on sports cards, right? You probably know more than me on sports cards, but can you tell? But what I will say is this: there are sports cards where the conditional rarity is what creates immense value. Like look at the Michael Jordan rookie card, you know, in the PSA 10 worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and compare it to like a much lower grade, you know? So sports cards has been around longer than Pokemon cards. And I feel it's all about conditional rarity in sports cards, you know? So sure, there is absolute rarity with those, you know, like 1 of 5s, 1 of 1s, you know, there is that. I get that. What about the Michael Jordan rookie? That's the Holy Grail. And there's another card, I can't remember the name of it, but it's like pop 20 or 30. It's a very famous baseball, I think it's baseball player. And then the PSA 8 is like less than $1,000. And the PSA 10 is like $500,000. I'm not joking. Do you know which card I'm talking about? I need to find it. There's is it Derek Jeter rookie card?
Yeah, I'm not sure in baseball.
I'll
Baseball's
have
not my
to get
thing.
back.
Football and hockey.
I think it might be the Derek Jeter rookie card. There's a card which is like $500,000 in PSA 10, and then like $800 in PSA 8, something like that. I can't remember. But what I'm trying to tell you is that's conditional rarity. And look at it in the sports card market, which is more established. So conditional rarity is critical and so important for any mass-produced card, in my opinion.
100%.
What are your thoughts on absolute rarity and conditional rarity?
I pretty much line for line what you're saying. Obviously conditional rarity is huge. Absolute rarity just not being there, obviously it's going to drive demand. Maybe not as liquid sometimes because they are usually a lot more expensive. Like your trophy card, for instance, I could imagine the price on that card. You're going to have a lot smaller buyer pool, but the people are paying the prices because there's not a lot of them. You want to this trophy card, and that's a big statement. It's it's a cool thing to own. Like I can't imagine myself ever owning a trophy card, but I like WotC, PSA 9, first edition base, like kind of like where you were. That's where I'll probably be forever. So we'll keep on the first edition base train for a while, probably.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think from like a collecting point of view, getting like lower grades is very affordable, actually, you know, going for those lower grades. And I don't think you need tons of money to participate in Pokemon at all. You know, there's cards, you know, you can get mint PSA 9 or PSA, near mint plus, etc. You know, whatever, PSA 8, PSA 9 cards, which look good, like in good condition. They don't have to be first edition. You know, if they don't, you don't have to collect first edition cards, right? You can go for unlimited and they're still the same card. Just they don't have that stamp, you know. And if you want to collect art, like I do think that Pokemon isn't a hobby that's just exclusive for people who've got lots of money. I think you can participate in it without much funding as well. and you can trade up, you can build up your collection, and start small and grow big.
Exactly. Which, yeah, we'll get into that a little bit about your business, maybe a little bit more in depth. Um, but I want to talk to you a little bit about PWCC. I know you have an account there. You deal with them. You have cards there. I'm sure. What do you feel about the new migration to the weekly auctions versus the monthly? It's pretty wild. Big news for 2022.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a big fan of PWCC. I've got a good relationship with them, and really, just before we get onto that, I just want to say that back when they were on eBay, they offered a vault auction as well. So they offered their monthly auction and they offered their vault auction, and this was an incredible service, like an absolutely incredible service, because the reason is because it provided instant liquidity. If you want to sell your item for whatever reason, you don't have to sell it next, you don't have to wait 2 months or whatever.
Yeah.
And that sometimes can be difficult, because it's like, imagine the market just went hot on your card and you want to sell it, and it's like, okay, let me go send it to this auction house and wait 3 months. Like, so much can happen in 3 months, and you're probably not the only one who's trying to do that. So by offering that immediate instant liquidity, those vault auctions were incredible, and I used them. I did use them when I needed to. PWCC migrated off eBay, and now they're doing the monthly auctions, which is good. They're very, in terms of fees, auction fees, they're very price competitive compared to, I would say, compared to other auction houses. They've got good competitive fees for auctioning off items. The monthly auctions were good, but there wasn't that option when they were only doing monthly auctions for instant liquidity through a good brand. And by doing weekly auctions, pretty much you're getting almost instant liquidity, like within a week. It just depends how long you have to inform them before it can go on auction. But I'm guessing it would probably not be very long if every single week they're doing an auction. So if you by providing that option to sell your item within a week, or within a week or two, if that's the time frame you need, that's really good for the hobby, because it provides a much more relative instant liquidity than there is currently available, I feel, in my personal opinion. Now, sure, people can argue that if you want something to be instantly liquid, you can sell on eBay, but there are risks when selling on eBay. Risks of chargebacks from the buyer, etc. There are risks. So having a brand which is reputable, which can sell your for you, it's good. It's only good news for the hobby, and I think that PWCC, they do try hard to if there's ever a problem, they do get involved and they do try and solve the problem. Like, if there's ever an issue, I've noticed that any kind of issue, they'll try and solve it. I've also noticed that I do feel like they care about their audience, their customers. I feel like they care about collectors, and yeah, I think that it's more liquidity in the market. It's only good news. That's my personal opinion. What are your thoughts on this situation?
Yeah, so me being mainly a buyer, I have no cards at PWCC. I just set a giant box of cards to submit to them, and have now hesitated with the change to the fees. But as far as the monthly versus weekly, I think it's awesome, because when it was monthly, we were talking 6,000 cards plus of an hour and a half. And now being weekly, I'm hoping it's less, sub 2,000 at least, maybe 1,500 a week. Even that seems high, because when I look at like heritage auctions, they they have a weekly auction. They're doing less than 100 trading cards a week. So I don't know. I'm hoping for a smaller batch, which will be great as a buyer. But the liquidity thing, like you're mentioning, is huge. I'm speculating, but it's probably like if you click the button to put it to a weekly auction, it'll probably take, you'll be in the weekly auction, I'm guessing, within 2 weeks. So they have a great system. Their system has developed so much since the migration from eBay. I personally, as a buyer, I love it. I love it. So really curious to see how the weekly goes. I'm going to sit back and see how the weekly goes, and then maybe submit all my cards sitting here. Based on those results.
Yeah, just on that point, Josh, that is another excellent point. That, you know, let's say there were 6,000 items all at once, or 10,000, however many items there were, and now they're getting spread over weekly auctions. I think that's better as well. I would say for both the buyer and the seller. You know, I would say it's better for everyone, to be honest with you. I think it's a good, because you know, that way, you know, when there's less items on an auction block, I mean, look, when there's like no items on an auction block, or like when there's very few, then maybe like no one checks, like maybe no one looks at the auctions, right? So there needs to be like almost enough to garner interest. But if there's too much, then yes, it can be hard to bid on everything. There's only a certain amount that of people or buyers that want, you know, cards, etc. So, you know, getting that balance right is good. And again, you know, like again, 1,000 to 2,000 cards, right? If everyone knows that, then people will be checking. Like loads of people will be like, "Cool, man, let's go and look at the weekly auction." But if there's like 20, 30 cards, or 50 cards, 100 cards, do you see how, in my personal opinion, if there's too low cards, it might almost have the reverse effect, that like people don't really, you know, so that people can't be bothered to check the auction site, basically. So like I feel like there needs to be enough to garner enough interest, but not too much to not be interested, if that makes sense. You know, I mean, like the way I see back in the day, the way I see PWCC auctions, they were exciting, man. Everyone loved those monthly auctions, man. Everyone was like, yeah, what's on PWCC? And it's still like that now. You know, I get excited when it comes to the new day, like what's on PWCC, what can I bid on? And you know, again, I think now it's going to be weekly, so there's going to be more checking. you know?
Exactly.
But you know, yeah, arguably the other side of me might prefer to just check it once a month, you know, not once a week. But yeah, look, overall, I feel that it's a better thing, in my opinion. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for it.
You got any cards coming in the weekly first one?
I've not got any big cards at all going in the weekly auctions. I have like some small cards, maybe maybe $50, $100 that I've put in. Yeah, I've put in a few. I was trying to sell them and I couldn't sell them, so I'll just push them through PWCC.
Yep.
So yeah, you know, there are some cheaper cards, but I haven't put any yet. But yeah, I mean, I do use their services. I have auctioned off with them many times. And I will be using this service as well, but when I need to use this service, basically. But yeah, I mean, already technically using it. But on the more bigger items, yeah, I mean, when the time is right, it's definitely an option. And again, like I said, their fees are good. Relatively, they've got very, very competitive fees. So yeah, I think they've overall provided great service to the hobby. So yeah, I'm honestly, like I said, a big fan of PWCC, and yeah, I can only really say good things about them, to be honest. Yeah.
Same. I don't know if you ever got the chance to check it out, but PokeRev, when he first was, maybe not first starting, but some of his first videos, he would do PWCC live videos. He's gone away from that, definitely. He does a lot more stuff for the kids, it seems, almost in my eyes. But those were some of my favorite videos, is sitting down, watching him look at the market, seeing what's going on, seeing what's selling for what. So I think the weekly is going to be great. There's going to almost quadruple their traffic into their website because it's going to be weekly. You have all these people participating the same amount of time each week. So it's going to be good for them. I think it'll be huge. So just wait and see. I think it's starting first or second week of January. So something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Quick.
Those I did watch those back in the day, and again, I think that's when PokeRev was a lot smaller. Maybe like 20, 30, 40,000 subscribers or something. Wasn't well, he was still huge, and but obviously nowadays he's massive. But yeah, again, for me, I love the market. I love the market talk. I love to know what's going on with the prices. Yeah. I like to know what's going up and down. I like to keep a close eye on that. That's what interests me, the market as well. Sure, there is the collecting side but also the investment side, the market side, because that, for the way I see it is, I have limited funds, right? Most people, not everyone, most people have limited funds, and I want to get the most I can out of what I have. And in order to do that, if, for example, I feel like there's a good card that's come down in value, then I might want to buy it, then, if that makes sense. I might want to, everyone wants to get good deals, basically. And, to watch that auction, to understand what's going on with the market, it was really fun. And even nowadays, I believe in the longevity of Pokemon. My personal opinion is that I believe that, can I just say a disclaimer, if that's all right? Just want to give like a legal disclaimer. So, this isn't financial advice. We're not financial advisors. This is just our own opinion. Any facts we say, just any prices we quote, please check them. It's off the top of our head if we are quoting any prices of sales. But if I am quoting a sell price, I'm probably going to say check anyway.
Opinions,
not financial advice, but I believe in the longevity of Pokemon, and I believe in growth in the high-end cards in the long term. So really, when prices go down, it doesn't, like, I'm going to be here for 10, 20, I'm going to be here for a long time. This is so even if prices do come down, I just use it as an opportunity to buy more cards, right? So, but again, I'm selective on what I buy. I'm very selective on what I want, and what I buy. Again, it's that rare stuff I go after. That's the stuff I want. The rare stuff, conditional rarity or absolute rarity, as we spoke before, with a good level of demand.
Yeah, and that's another, just thinking about it, like I just thinking about one of your most recent posts, your video game of the green version, only released in Japan. It's a rare item, especially in those grades. It was never technically sealed, but it's unopened. And I really like your Instagram post. You're one of the only people I see doing it, but you get seriously in depth, kind of explaining the history of things.
Yeah.
Something I never take the time. I never do it. I just say thumbs up, thumbs down, card look cool, question mark. Like, I'm straight to the point. You have some in-depth knowledge in your Instagram post on your different items, which is, I appreciate it. Learning through that, which is cool. But as far as video games go, are you similarly like just buying the rare items, or you have nostalgia? Are you collecting any video games?
So you know what it is in terms of like collecting video games, I don't have nostalgia in collecting them, right? Because I didn't collect them. I have huge nostalgia in playing them, right? I have I loved playing those games, man. Like, I was glued to the Game Boy, etc. I was literally glued, and I played every single game up until Emerald. After Emerald, I was just getting a bit older, and I kind of just, I didn't. Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald era, I played every single game, man. My favorite game was basically the Fire Red and Leaf Green, right? It was like the remake of the original game, and that was my favorite game, because I think that almost gave me like a baby nostalgia hit, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
So like even when I was like really young, because when I must have been like, how old was I, like playing Pokemon Red and Blue, man? I must have been like 8 years old or something, like 8 years old. And I didn't even have a Game Boy. I was playing it with an emulator. You know, I didn't even have a Game Boy. I was playing it on my PC when I was like 8 years old. Did you know about that?
That's impressive.
You could.
No, my PC only played the Worm game. I couldn't get emulators back.
I love the Worm game. Yeah, no, I was a bit of a naughty kid when I was like 8 years old, and I was playing with the emulator. And
wow.
But I remember playing that, and I then yeah. So that was when I was 8 years old, and then when I was older, how old was I? I must have been like 2004. So I think they were around 2004. Do you know when Fire Red and Leaf Green were released? Maybe about 2004. Yeah.
So, somewhere. Yep. Middle.
Yeah.
I was around middle school for me. So yeah.
Yeah. So I must have been maybe 13, 14, something like that around then. And you were when you were like 13, 14, you're a little bit like, you're not mature, but at least for me, I was, you got a little bit more with it than when you're 8 years old. You're 8, you're just lost.
Yeah.
At least you're communicating. You might be, you're studying, etc. And that was like a nostalgia hit for the original games. And then that's why I feel like I loved it so much, because I was a bit older and I had the chance to re-explore something when I was a little bit like much younger. And that is really what it comes down to for those games for me, Fire Red and Leaf Green. So I have huge nostalgia in playing the games, but after that, I haven't really played. I don't think I've played any game after Diamond and Pearl. I don't think I've played any of those games. But in terms of collecting the games, that's what I didn't do. Like I didn't collect. I never collected sealed games.
Neither
but now,
did I.
Yeah, but now they've become collectible, highly collectible, and highly valuable, extremely valuable. And it's more of like just like a desire I have to just get things, get rare things. And when it comes to like, let's just talk about Pokemon Green, for example. I never played Pokemon Green. I never grew up with Pokemon Green. Pokemon Green was released in February 1996 in Japan. It was a Japanese exclusive game. They released Red and Green in Japan first. They released Red and Blue in the United States in 1998. I think it was September, October 1998. They released Red and Blue. So then they released Yellow in the United States, I think in 1999. They released Blue and Yellow after Red and Green in Japan. So I don't know why Green was never introduced in the US. Like during that era. I don't know why, but I wanted, just based on the fact that it was never released in English, and it's like, that's just what creates the appeal to me, because it's like you don't see a Pokemon Green in English. You don't see a Pokemon Green. You see all these red, blue, and then there's green. And whilst we're on the Japanese game topic, I just want to talk about this, because this is something that I'll be making a few more posts actually on Japanese games, because it's something I've been getting more into recently. Not recently, I've been in it for a while now, but I'm getting more games graded, so I'll have more stuff to post, etc. And with Japanese games, like you said, Game Boy games, they did not come with a factory seal, right? Your Pokemon Red and Blue and the Game Boy games in English, a lot of them did come with factory seals, but these ones didn't. So I think that but that doesn't mean that you can't grade them as unopened, if that makes sense. So when you send them to VGA, they can still grade them as unopened if there are no signs of opening the game. Now, to get an unopened original Japanese Game Boy game for a lot of the Pokemon games can be extremely rare. There are some that are more common than others, but for Green in particular, it's extremely rare to find a genuinely unopened Pokemon Green, which is why, like, how many? That's why I'll throw the question back to you. How many? Even we don't have population reports with VGA at present. I think they have reported at some point they will release them, which will be helpful. I think everyone wants population reports, but the real question I have is, how many VGA graded unopened Pokemon greens have you ever seen?
Less than two, I'd say. Just there's not a lot of
That's
pretty much all of them. Yeah, they're Pokemon Stadium games. I have a bunch of Japanese Pokemon games, and they had 3 Pokemon Stadiums. We only had 2, and there's barely any of those graded. Just
and
yeah,
then
crazy.
the other question I'll throw back to you is, how often do you see a genuinely, again, when you're looking for an unopened game, it's hard to see it through pictures, right? But how often do you see a full images of a raw like Pokemon green or red or blue or yellow in Japanese, all the pictures, and it genuinely looks like it's never been opened, like it's perfect like how often do you see that? Because I don't see it that much. It's really rare. And that's the thing, it's really rare. But the other thing is, a lot of these games are really rare as factory unopened, but they're not that rare as boxed. Like boxed games, you probably have, like, think about it. In Japan, you've got your average guy now or girl who's a little bit older, who might still have their boxed game, right? They might have the box somewhere, right? But they opened it, right? They probably opened it. And because it didn't have a seal, even if they never played it, they might have, even if they found it, they might just open it, see what's inside,
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Like it didn't have a seal, so they might be like, oh, cool, let's have a look. The moment you open it, that ridge starts to crease, and then it shouldn't grade as unopened. It shouldn't grade. It won't grade as unopened. A lot of the sellers, before they send the item, they don't really know that there's huge value in Pokemon Game Boy games being unopened, and they might just check, has it got the game inside or is it a fake? And doing that will take away drastic value. Now, Japanese Pokemon games is a small market at present. It's quite a niche. Even video games as a market, in Pokemon games, it's nothing like Pokemon cards yet, if that makes sense. Like Pokemon cards, huge. Pokemon video games is much smaller. Even though you see huge price points, you don't see those huge price points every day, or like all the time, if that makes sense, like with Pokemon cards. And I do believe, in my opinion, you will see Pokemon video games, especially the rare ones, go up in the long term. I don't know anything about the short term. None of us know what's going to happen in the short term. We don't know if there's mass hype coming around the corner. We don't know if there's no hype coming around the corner. We don't know if there's an economic recession that just hits everything. We don't know if, anything can happen, But I believe most likely in the long term that the rare, original, again, in video games, conditional rarity, those high grade games, right? Because these are not rare items. Pokemon Yellow is not rare. Everyone, Pokemon Red, these are not rare. But making it sealed does make it rarer, right? But there's probably still lots of them out there. There might be like a warehouse which has got, they've got cases of that, or there are still out there. There's quite a lot of them out there. But then how many of them are in perfect condition, where even like if it was a factory sealed case, probably due to the manufacturing process, some of them just still won't hit that Water 9.8. Just like you open a brand new pack, you might not get a PSA 10. So like when you introduce that element of conditional rarity to the point where you can get it brand new and it's still not the best grade, that's what creates real conditional rarity. And that's again what that Water 9.8 A++ grade is about. It's about an extremely high level of conditional rarity. So again, we don't have pop reports on Game Boy games with Water yet, to my knowledge. I know they've released pop reports for Nintendo games. Is that right?
Those games, yep. Yeah, just the Nintendo Entertainment System pop reports, and it's not something that's evolving. It's just a shot in time of those populations. But in Q1 of 2022, they're going to have supposedly everything Xbox, PlayStation 2, Game Boy, and it should be fluid and changing as things are graded. It will be updated like PSA supposedly.
Yeah.
So that'll be huge.
excited for that. I'm excited for that. And like I said, games haven't had the value, like Pokemon games haven't had the same values as the cards have for as long time, if that makes sense. Games was much smaller, I feel, like 2-3 years ago than the cards, but now they're really coming up as a whole. Sure, there's been retraces in the market, but as a whole, games have come a long way within the last 2 years. And I do see through Instagram and stuff, for example, more adoption of water and VGA graded games in the actual collectors' collections, right? People do want them. A lot of collectors, you might see like, hey, this guy's got a Ruby 9.0 A+. I've seen many people start to post it. So I do think as time goes on, collectors will slowly start to adopt them, because as collectors, we want more and more. We want more and more.
Exactly.
And it's different. And if it's marketed to us that all these video games, this and that, we'll start collecting them. So so I do like video games, and I think we're very early in video games, earlier than cards. I think we're earlier in video games right now than we are in cards. It's a much earlier market without pop reports, and without pop reports, that will also restrict a lot of people from coming in. In my opinion, many investors want to know, like big investors want to know pop reports before they start putting huge amounts of money in. Again, with me, I'm not going to buy a huge item without a pop report. Like I'm not going to spend that. That's just me, but people do. That's up to them. But it definitely puts off some people without pop reports from spending a lot of money into an item. So I think when they release pop reports, that'll be a very, very good thing. I'm looking forward to it. And so and because it's early, and that's why I'm spending my time now, I actually have another Pokemon Green here, actually right in front of me. I will just show you here. So this is another Pokemon Green, but this is actually opened, which is a huge shame. And I will just show you how I know that it's opened. You give me a second. It's quite unfortunate, but can you see on the ridge? I don't know if can you see some level of wear on the ridge? Is that visible?
Yep. Yeah.
And I bought this
a little bit.
Yeah. It was visible, right? Like clearly.
Yeah. Hold it back a little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit. It's not like perfectly sharp corner, essentially.
Yeah. So over here, you can see there's like kind of creases if you look very close. Like there's creases, and that's because someone's opened it, and that's a huge shame because I bought this game and it was listed as opened. So and that's what will happen a lot of the time when you buy unopened games. Unfortunately, many people will list them as unopened, but when they're not actually unopened. And that's why when I saw this opportunity to buy an unopened Pokemon Green, I just jumped for it because I know how hard it is to find some of these games. And I will just so that's just another Pokemon Green I have, and I will just show you again here. Now this is another extremely rare Japanese game. This is Pokemon Snap in Japanese, and I don't think it's been opened. But again, look, I'm not an expert grader. This game, like you kind of like this is the flap that kind of pulls up from the inside. But yeah, but if you look at the bridge, it looks quite, it doesn't look all creased up to me, if that makes sense. So, again, look, I'm not an expert grader. I don't really know how they grade, but just my guess is this one looks like an unopened game to me. Again, really rare Pokemon Snap in Japanese. So anyway, because we're early, I like to look into things really, really deeply. That's what I love to do. I love to hunt knowledge. I'm hungry for knowledge, and it's just what I like. I like to go into things. I think a lot of us as collectors, that's what we like to do. We just want to go in and just deeper and deeper and just really explore. And I wanted to go into more in depth into video games. And I'm like, well, you've got a huge Pokemon market, you've got a huge Japanese Pokemon card market, you've got Pokemon video games, and then you've got Pokemon Japanese video games, which like very few people collect. And I was like, cool, let's look into that. And then that's why I kind of like, I feel like they're more affordable. I feel like they're less recognized. I feel like there could be huge potential in the long term. And I also enjoy hunting for these rare items. So I've got quite a lot of Japanese games actually, and then this one is Pokemon Stadium. Pokemon Stadium
Number 1, right?
Yeah, this is Stadium 1. And again, to my opinion, you can look at the ridge here. You can see it. It just doesn't look creased. And you know, again, I'm no expert, but I would guess that it's unopened. So yeah, I've got quite a lot of Japanese unopened.
That was the Pokemon Stadium. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a lot of those games to my eye that are unopened that I'm going to get graded. And then I've even got Japanese. You know, I kind of gone a bit further as well. So you know, this is the Pokemon Diamond in Japanese. So when it came to the DS era, a lot of the Japanese games did come sealed. Actually, as you can see, this game's sealed. So I've got into some of the DS games, and then you know, again, I bought this game. This is a sealed PS1 Street Fighter game. You know, so I literally just bought it because, you know what, it was just so affordable. You know, it's literally, it's got Street, and I just like the way it looked. So again, when it comes to, you know, Japanese games, I feel like they're very affordable. You can get really cool looking art and very good prices. So that's kind of you know, why I like Japanese games. So
awesome.
Yeah. Just one more thing, going into the, you know, talking about the post when you said that you know, going into the deep history, and that's because I will do that research anyway when I'm looking into the item, right? And I want to share the knowledge. You know, I want people to also know, because I feel like more people would collect this stuff if they just knew about it. You know, like it's not that knowledge isn't clear. You got to dig through forums. You've got to get the knowledge. You got to get a little scrap of information from there and a little scrap over there. It's not easy to get knowledge in the collectibles market. It's hard, man. It's really hard. And I just want to try and make it easier for people.
Yep. Yeah, that Pokemon Stadium 1 you had was only released in Japan. They didn't release that one here, which was pretty interesting. So, yeah, hope to see a post on that one soon.
I think I don't know if I posted that one yet, but yeah, but yeah, man, I'm a big fan of Japanese video games. You know, not just Pokemon. You can go outside of Pokemon. They're affordable. You know, so yeah.
Awesome. Do you plan on buying your Leaf Green, Fire Red just to keep it on the shelf? No?
Well, you know what? They are still very expensive. They're not cheap, are they? You know, Leaf Green.
Yeah, they are. No. Yeah, they're expensive.
Yeah, they're expensive games. I mean, you know, I would love to. I may do. It's a tough one, man. You know, they are pretty expensive right now. You know, again, like even if I want something, if I feel like it's you know, I could get much more elsewhere, I might go for that. And again, you know, if I got to spend what's a 9.8 A plus? To be honest, like, I don't even know if they've ever sold for a 9.8 A plus of Fire Red and Leaf Green. I don't even know if they've ever sold.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah. So, you know, again, even 9.6 A plus, you're still looking at, again, I don't know, it'd probably be more than $5,000, wouldn't it? It would probably be quite pricey. And again, for $5,000, I can have you know, so many Japanese games. No, but you know what I mean? Like, that's what I would rather do with my money.
Yeah.
How about yourself? You know, if you know, I can see you've got quite a lot of video games in the background. You know, what's your, you know, what are your kind of goals in video games?
Pokemon Sapphire. I played. Started with Blue. Played all through those games. Played Fire Red, Leaf Green. But Pokemon Sapphire, I've invested the most time in. Kyogre's, I guess, my favorite Pokemon from that generation. And I have tons of Kyogre cards. So just I want a nice Pokemon Sapphire, a clean one to put on the shelf. But real big fan of a lot of PlayStation 2 titles. I spent a lot of time in my bedroom playing PlayStation 2 games. A lot of them. Just I got my eyes on a bunch of them. Just haven't pulled the trigger on some. So hoping to lock down some stuff here in the near future. But
Yeah,
we'll see.
you know what's interesting is people speculate that video games are going to be like the next comic books. That's what people kind of, that's what I've heard quite a few people say. And the thing with video games is it can appeal to so many people. So many people. You've got games that were maybe targeted more to maybe different age groups, different people. And you've got you've got all kinds of games, and somebody who might have been like a musician might have got like, or not a musician might have got like Guitar Hero or whatever. Like there's so many different games. People played GTA, people played Final Fantasy, then you had Pokemon. You've got so many people who love shooting games. Some people, they love the shooting games, and there's just, it's huge. It's a huge, video games is a huge part of almost every kid's life nowadays. And even when we were kids, it was so big. Like it was almost rare to find a kid who didn't play video games. Like when I was a kid,
Yep.
So when you look at how infiltrated video games were and currently are in our world, then again, it just kind of almost explains the scope of how big video game collecting can become.
Yep.
So that's the thing with video games. It's a new market. It's a new, Wata only came around, was it 2019 they were established in? Or
yeah, it's 20. Wow, I'm drawing a blank. I know VGA was 2008. I think it was 2018. Was Wata.
But I think when Wata came, that's when prices really started to go up. I think before that it was small, video games small, it was niche, but I think it really kind of grew, grew drastically. So yeah, I mean, I see huge potential in video games in the long run, and I am just having some fun, really. Collecting, rare video games. If I get the opportunity to get any other, I want to get a blue, a yellow, I want to get them all. I've got a crystal as well, and I've got a gold. Actually, I've got a gold right here with me. So this is, I want to show you actually. This is gold VGA 95 in Japanese. So this is, an extremely high grade. Unopened, yeah. This is extremely high grade. Now, gold in Japanese is the one. Gold and Stadium 2 are the more common games, original games for Pokemon. And I don't know why that is. Maybe there's just more that are just unopened nowadays. But, to get that in a VGA 95, it's pretty damn nice, to get VGA 95 Pokemon Gold. So I was very happy with this game. And my aim, from the collecting side of things, is to get every single Japanese game in Game Boy / N64 era, ideally graded high. That is what I'm working on, and it's hard to find. I've got green, I've got gold, I've got crystal that are graded. I've got other ones like I've shown the Snap, I've shown the Stadium one that I need to grade. But that is a goal of mine within collecting.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, as we all know, not everything is a handheld collectible, and I know you deal a lot with, or are dealing with a lot of NFTs. There's something on your page called Creatures.
Yep.
So I personally have not really dove in at all to NFTs. I don't own a single one. I own some crypto, not a whole lot. Being somebody from the outside looking in, explain maybe to some people what an NFT is, or what the Creatures project is.
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
Perfect. All right. So a simple way that, I'm going to just keep things simple. Now, the first thing I'll say is I'm not an expert in NFTs, right? I'm not an expert, right? I've got some knowledge, and I will share my knowledge. Now, a simple way to look at NFTs are that NFTs, you can say, are basically digital collectibles, right? So you have your physical collectibles, your cards, etc. You can look at many NFTs as simply a digital collectible, right? That's what it is. It's just a collectible, but it's digital. Now, a lot of people will say, hey, I can just screenshot it, but there's one person who has, or one individual, or one corporation, whatever, who has ownership of that NFT, of that piece of art, right? Or that
in
picture.
the blockchain.
Yeah. To my understanding, again, I'm no expert, so if I got anything wrong here, I don't want people firing me in the comments. But my understanding, my understanding is that on the blockchain. With regards to that's basically what it is, a digital collectible, and you own it. So I own the digital collectible known as Creatures. That's the one I'm in. I'll just explain what that is shortly. But it's a digital collectible. Now we all know that the world has been moving digital, right? Slowly, it's been transitioning. People are working from home. We're having this call remotely. Everything's moving digitally, and I get that. And there are already digital collectibles even before this NFT hype happened. If you ever played RuneScape, did you ever play RuneScape? I don't know if you ever played RuneScape. Okay,
I had
so there was
a similar thing though with Rocket League. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, buying, selling skins and stuff like that. Yeah.
So and again, I don't play Fortnite nowadays. I played Fortnite before, but I know that I think, to my knowledge, people pay a lot of money for the skins. But I'm no expert in Fortnite. I played it a few times, it's fun as hell, but I'm just a bit too busy to play it now, to be honest with you. But people pay a lot of money for the skins, right? And they, to me, sound like a digital collectible. And again, back in the day when I used to play a game called RuneScape, they had in-game currency. They had in-game collectible items. So there were already in-game collectibles before NFTs popped off. In-game currency, in-game collectibles. So anyway, it's kind of popped off now, and the problem is that, let's be honest, there are many NFT projects out there that are just trying to, I guess, take people's money, right? There are many that, let's be honest, there are many NFT projects that are just, they don't really care about the longevity of their brand. They just want to sell out all their NFTs, and then they don't care then, right? They've made their money. But you can never say that to everyone.
Yeah.
I've said there are certainly some projects out there that have got bad motives, right? Just like there's some bad people in everything. There's always good and bad people, right? So you do have
small
those
grading companies. Yeah.
Say again?
All the grading companies that came up in the last year, similarly buying into the hype, trying to get their dollar. So NFTs experience similar things. I saw that a lot of the people were just making NFTs. Somebody's grandma in their basement made a bunch of digital assets on the blockchain, and we're trying to sell them.
Yeah. So I mean, look, there are certainly projects out there where, like I said, they don't really care. They they are just trying to just sell out their digital assets and be done with it. And cool, make a new project, make more money. And but what I have a few friends who are much more experienced in NFTs than me, right? And these are the people I get a little bit of advice of. And I've been following the market for a little while now, and my understanding was, and my opinion is, that there was a time where almost any NFT was just selling. It doesn't matter what it is. But I think nowadays, at least what I've been told by my friends, is that it's not every project pops off anymore. It's hard to it's much harder, if that makes sense. And that's what makes sense, because as time goes on, everyone's going to be making an NFT. There's more and more people are coming in making NFTs, right? So as time goes on, it's going to, you're going to need something to stand out in your project, and it's going to get more competitive. So it seems to be the projects with more utility behind them which seem to do better nowadays. But I feel like I do feel like it's unfair to say every NFT is a scam, right? I think that some people say that, but I think it's unfair to say that, because I do believe that there are projects out there that are not scams and are not intended to be scams. Now you can lose your money on them, but that's your risk, and that wasn't necessarily a scam. That was just the market or whatever, right? You have to understand, like, NFTs is a risky market, right? Very, you can lose money in in NFTs, absolutely, and many people do. But I don't think every NFT project, I don't think we can label every NFT project as a scam, because based on the behavior of some projects. So that's what it is, a digital collectible on the blockchain. That's my understanding. Going to creatures now. So anyway, I've been involved lightly in the NFT space for a few months now. And again, I like to go into history, right? For me, it's about history, collectibles, right? And I don't like to look at the hype. Like the hype doesn't matter to me. I'll go and look at the fundamentals, right? So like that's what I do. I'll go and look at the fundamentals. So I looked into NFTs, I looked into projects, and I was like, well, what about the first ever NFT? Because like you come from a collecting background, you're always like, you want the first of this. If you're talking about comic books, it's about the first appearance of this character or Spider-Man, whatever. First print of Charizard, first edition base, first print of Lugia, Neo Genesis. This is often where the value is. First prints,
Yep.
first prints. And I thought, well, these are digital collectibles. Let's try and find out what are the first ever NFTs, right? So that's where I came across creatures. Now, they're not the first ever NFTs in the period, but to my understanding and to at least current knowledge, by what has been, unless someone comes out and can prove earlier, at least to today's knowledge, as for the date of this video, that they are the first NFT on Solana. That is the understanding, that they are the first NFT on Solana, on the Solana network. Many NFTs are also on the Ethereum network, but this is on the Solana network, right? So Ethereum and Solana are two of the really big, NFT networks. And I decided to go into this project, right? I decided to put some money into it. And because, again, I don't know what's going to happen. I can't guarantee what's going to happen in the future. I can't predict the future. But I decided to just take a risk, put some money inside to invest in it. And then I, based on it being the first project on, with the first mint date, basically, on Solana, and I was involved in the Discord. They have a Discord, and I built a relationship up with the people in the Discord, with the management. I built a relationship up, and we ended up, we basically decided to, partner with each other. So I am basically partnered with them, and I made a post on them, and I will be making more posts on them as well. Obviously not every day, because it's not, my page is a Pokemon page, so I'll always keep my content mostly Pokemon, but at the same time I will explore other digital collectibles. So I do have a paid partnership with creatures, and because I, again, why I decided, I went in, I would already owned many before having any partnership with them. I found them from my own research. I decided to go into them because, like I said, it's the first NFT on Solana that's known to date, with the first mint date, unless someone comes forward and proves otherwise. So, based on the history, I felt there was significant history behind it, and it's a digital collectible. I thought that this would be something interesting to get into, and that's basically why I went into there. So I purchased many of them, and then I had, during that time, I built up a report, and then developed a partnership with the brand. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what it is. I went in because I felt the history was quite significant. But again, look, I can't predict the future. I got no idea what's going to happen with the price of any NFT, right? But that's really why I got involved. Now, one more thing on that. You know, when any NFT sells for a project, often the owner might get a percentage, or the creators might get a percentage, right? So they do, you know, like if you have an NFT project, and you know, it might be that you might get, I don't know, it depends on the project and what you set, but they might get a certain percentage of every sale that happens. So they do earn an income, and they do have a fund. And then, you know, if you believe in the project, then you know, they can you know, if you believe in the project, and you know, you feel that they're managing the finances well, they're managing the marketing well, then you know, those, I guess, are good signs, really. You know, so it's a community. It's really like a community, if that makes sense. You have a community of people who each own like digital art within this this project, and that's really what I feel like. A lot of the time, you're buying into a community. If you think about it, it's not too much different from Pokemon cards, because let's talk about trophy cards again. You know, you have a community of people who own the trophy cards. You know what I mean? So you're now going to buy one trophy card. Now you own one. You're in the community of people who own that. Or in Pokemon cards, again, you're in a community. I feel like everything comes down to a community of people, or community of ownership. This is what I feel. What are your thoughts on NFTs?
Are you familiar with Bored Ape Yacht Club? Guys,
yeah,
those guys started in 2021 April. Did some research on them. I think it was April of this year, and there was an auction 3-4 months ago of 101 of the apes, and it sold for about $24 million. I think there's 10,000 apes, I believe, is the mint. How many they made, I can't recall. I think it was 10,000. Maybe it was 5. I can't remember. But $24 million for 101 apes. And at that time on their website, that would owning an ape gives you access to exclusive merch, and then also access to a chat room with only people that own apes. Obviously, in my eyes, NFTs obviously are only worth what people are willing to pay for them. Like all collectibles, I don't know. It just, seeing Bored Ape Yacht Club start in April of 2021, they made all these NFTs, and then the guy who drew them up got, I think, 3% of that sale. It's crazy to me. It's crazy that somebody would want access to that chat room and the merch that bad and drop that much Ethereum, because it's on the Ethereum network. So to me, it's gambling a lot. Like, how many creatures exist?
So with creatures, they have so they call it Generation Zero, right? They call it Generation Zero, and they have 3 decks. So at the moment, there were 2,500 initially released, right? In what we deck 1, and that's where I own at the moment. I own 9 of them. I own nine of 2,500 right now of deck 1 creatures. The first 2,500. Then recently in December, they released the next 2,500. I don't own any of them. And they'll be releasing another 2,500 at some point in 2022. For me, I wanted to get the original early first ones. And that's what I was mostly interested in from a historical perspective. That's just my opinion. And this, I may get I may get some deck 2 ones in the second deck, but yeah, I mean, for me, I mostly went into deck 1, but yeah, you know, there's also much more to the project than I'm saying. There there is a game that as well, that you can play with your creatures as well. So you can earn, that game, that there is this game as well, and there is a lot more to the project. Although again, for me, like what really like sold it to me was the fact that it was the first ever NFT project on Solana, and that is really like for me why I came into it initially.
Yeah, I'm a personally big. I'd never really heard of Solana until the last 4 months. I don't know how long they've been around, and never looked at when they came around, but I like that the cost of gas for them is micro compared to Ethereum and Bitcoin. So that's a huge thing going for them, which was why they're doing pretty well. The price has been okay, but so big props on that. So, best of luck, man. Honestly, it's something I don't know if I'll ever get into it. I was a huge fan of Gary Vee in his whole journey of just zero to hero, essentially, just his entrepreneurship, becoming what he has, and just a lot of the stuff, just him pumping the NFTs. Just I'm not a big fan of people pumping things like that, like the pump and dump schemes. And he did come out recently and he was like, hey, just so you know, 99% of NFTs are going to fail. Just there's the ones that are worth buying, and you just got to find the right ones. Don't be buying the onesie, twosie, ma and pa NFTs. You need to do your research. It just sucks that there's so many out there that people are going to get scammed on and lose money. So just do your research.
There are people who get scammed in NFTs. Many people. There are many people who lose money in NFTs. And I think that, again, I'm not a financial advisor. This isn't financial advice. I can't predict the future. You have to do your own research. You can lose all your money when investing. But I mean, look, you really need to do your own research, and any money I've put into NFTs, I'm willing, generally speaking, like any money I put into any money I put into anything which is very risky or risky in general, I'm willing to lose. And that includes, again, like money I put in even into Pokemon cards as well, like I'm okay with it going down, because like that's just me, if that makes, like, because that's just how I am, if that makes sense. Whenever I put money into something, I'm willing to lose it, with a level of risk, because I know there's a risk there, if that makes sense. It's not gonna, if I lost my Pokemon cards today or I lost a lot of value, it's not gonna crush me. I'm not on leverage. I'm not paying, I'm not in debt, paying off huge debt, for my Pokemon cards. And my house isn't dependent on, selling my Pokemon cards. I need to sell my house, I need to sell Pokemon cards to pay my mortgage. No, I'm not gonna like put myself in that situation where I need to depend on, Pokemon cards are not income generating assets. These are the stuff that, that you buy that, that can grow in value over the long term. That's what, the right ones, again, someone comes into Pokemon cards, they need to know what they're doing. If they're looking to invest, they need to know. If they're looking to invest, if you're looking to collect and you don't care about the financial side of things, then sure, that's fine. But if you're looking to invest into Pokemon, you need to come in, you need to research it, you need to know what you're doing. But it's hard. I feel like it's hard to come in and invest if that's your initial mindset, if that makes sense, because you need to have a passion for this hobby. You need to go in, you need to do so much research, so much learning. And if you're trying to invest, then will you enjoy doing all that research? Will you have fun? And for me, I love it. I love reading. I love learning so much. That's why I like, I've just gone into, Pokemon, anything Pokemon cards, video games. These are the big collectibles. Then there's also something else I've been looking into. I haven't bought any yet, but Pokemon consoles. Like Pokemon Game Boys. You probably come across them, right? And that's something that I've been looking into as well. Smaller niche market again, but that's something interesting as well. So I think you need to have a passion. You need to kind of like kind of be interested, if that makes sense. I think if you go into anything uneducated, there's a good chance you'll lose money.
Yeah, don't be just taking tips from randoms on YouTube. You definitely want to do your own research, and it's key. Research is key to success, which is, again, like I lay down in bed and I dive into my phone, start looking at pricing and sold pricing and just keeping up with the market. It's a grind for sure.
Yeah, it's a grind, but if you like it, it's fun, And there's ways to be more efficient. You don't have to look every single day at eBay completed listings. You can like look once a month. There's if you enjoy it, that's what it's about. But many people have done very well of Pokemon cards at the same time. Like financially, many people who got in early. And again, I still think we're early. I still think we're early. How old are we? That's the question, right? I'm 29. And
I'm 30. Yep.
You're 30. I'm 29.
Yeah.
In 10 years, the average, it just comes down to this, right? The average age demographic of people who collect Pokemon cards is probably 20s mostly, and then some early 30s, right? I would say. What would you say? Like that's probably like mostly the age demographic.
I'd say our age is probably the majority, like low 30s, 33 to 28 is collecting a lot of the vintage. A lot of those guys are still starting careers and getting out of college, and
absolutely,
that's the way I look at it. We need more doctors to collect Pokemon.
Yeah. And again, in my job, I'm not I'm not like a super senior doctor or anything. Like I would if I was still kind of pursuing my career, I would still probably be like in the training. Like in a red. I wouldn't have like my high salary income yet as well through my regular job. So I wouldn't be there yet that I would have a really high income. And again, I know what my friends earn, and I know what the average person earns our age, and it's not that much compared to 10 years time. In 10 years time, things, 40s, people have got so much more disposable income on average, and that's what I feel like. And it's not like Pokemon's going anywhere, in my opinion. I don't think Pokemon's going to kind of like, just cease to exist. It's huge. It's huge among kids nowadays. It's massive. It's as they say, the world's largest grossing media franchise, which we probably everyone likes to say. Everyone likes to put that statistic on their story, But that's what it is. And there's absolutely no signs of it slowing down. Pokemon, Pokemon is huge. Just tell me this: hop onto YouTube and search any collectible hobby, and can you find one which gets more views than Pokemon cards? Because I can't, and I might be wrong here, but I haven't like searched every single collectible hobby because there's probably so many. But like in terms of like, sure, maybe on Porn Stars, maybe there are some videos that have got more views, but in terms of like regular, consistent, say again.
Actual content creators.
Yeah, like content creators and like the community. I don't know, like what gets more views on social media like consistently. I don't know for sure, but certainly Pokemon cards is right up there. But again, you search Yu-Gi-Oh views are good, but you search sports cards, I don't see hundreds of thousands of views every month on YouTube with sports cards, if that makes sense. I mean, unless I'm searching the wrong things.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more content creators for sports cards that probably easily doubles Pokemon's at least views, I would say, per month. There's some giants out there.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep. That's interesting. That's interesting, man. That's interesting. I haven't felt that, but again, I'm no expert in sports cards, so yeah.
Sports cards similar. They peaked like February this year, and they're had the biggest convention. There's this thing called the National in Chicago, Illinois. It was the biggest convention that's ever happened for them in the history of it, and it's been going on for several years. And all-time high for content creators, people jumping. Lootbox TV jumped from Pokemon to sports cards because their views were quadrupling every time they opened a sports box. So yeah, sports is massive. Banging off the rails like that, but Pokemon's right up there. 100% agree. It's
yeah.
I like doing what I'm doing, so it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So yeah, I mean, just look at the views Pokemon gets on social media. You know, it's absolutely massive. And you know, okay, let me ask you this then: how old do you think the average person is in vintage sports or high-end sports cards?
Older.
Yeah.
I'd say like I'm thinking like the Jordans, the Gretzky's, like sports card investor who has purchased, invested into Michael Jordan's. I don't know his age. He's got a son who's probably 8, so he's probably 40, low 40s,
This
upper
is the thing
30s.
with sports cards. I feel that they have got a much older age demographic on average who collect those cards, and they have much more money, you know. And we are still a very young age demographic, and we just don't have that much disposable income, you know. So you know, it comes down to that,
Yep.
really. So based on that factor alone is why I see the future of Pokemon is so bright, you know.
Yep.
So
Huge, yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm excited, man. I'm very excited, and I see great things in the future.
Yeah. So before I let you go, I definitely want to let you talk about your business, and maybe if you don't want to, but obviously you're doing this venture with your brother here through Instagram or on a website. I'm not sure, but if you want to kind of talk about what you got going on, and because I know it's almost 4 a.m. there.
It's all right.
You're a
My pattern's just a little bit messed up right now because I've had to do some things with different people in different parts of the world. So you know,
Yeah.
you have to sometimes just So yeah, so as you know, my Instagram name is Lowpopping, and you know, we buy high-end collections, and we also sell high-end cards. So if you're interested in purchasing any high-end cards, please make sure to follow us, check our story, and you know, we will make posts on what items we have and the prices. And you know, feel free to drop us a message if you're interested in purchasing any of our items. If you're interested in selling any items, high-end items, we can buy them off you as well, and offer you instant liquidity again. That's something we also offer as well, is buying high-end cards and high-end collections. So those are the two things we do. We can also, if you're very interested in a particular card, very rare, very high end, we can also help you source that card and find that card as well. So these are the services that we currently offer: buy, sell, / sourcing. Although in the next year, in 2022, we have significantly more plans to grow, to grow our business and expand into different parts of the hobby, including modern cards as well, modern boxes, etc. So there's lots of plans coming in 2022, but in the meantime, please feel free to follow us at Lowpopping to if you're interested in buying or selling high-end cards. Not just that, if you're interested in learning as well, just learning about different collectibles, cards, history, we make educational posts as well. So feel free to follow us, and it will definitely be a good learning experience. I'm actually putting a post out soon on Japanese video games again, comparing the difference between unopened and opened games, which is critical if you're interested in this part of the hobby. So yeah, I think that's really most of what my business is at the current stage in time.
Awesome, man. No, I'll definitely put the link right below in the description so everybody can get direct to your page with a hyperlink. If you do get into modern, like you said, you need to create another page called High Popping. It won't be low pop anymore. Those will be high pop.
You know what?
But,
You know what? I thought about that, but I just thought, you know what? I'll stick with the low popping brand. You know, even if I do modern, I'll stick with the low popping brand because that's what people know. So yeah.
Yep. Awesome, man. No, I appreciate you getting on the meeting, and it was a great discussion. Hopefully, I didn't take too much of your time, but I didn't want to cut it short. Wanted to get everything out there and discussed, and hope you would come back another time. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely, man. Thanks so much again for inviting me on. You know, you've given me a lot of compliments as well, which I really appreciate. You know, I'm also a big fan of your Instagram and the content you produce as well, and the fact you're in many different collectibles as well. It's always nice to meet people who explore collectibles, you know,
Yep.
and that's what I like to do as well. So, you know, thanks for having me on. And yeah, man, we will, you know, hopefully do another one of these and have a good time.
Oh yeah. One question before you go: who's your favorite Pokemon?
My favorite Pokemon is Mewtwo. You know, Mewtwo, and no, I'm not just saying that because I've got an SSB trophy card, right? I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. And you know, but maybe it's become my favorite one now after that. No, I'm just kidding. It's Mewtwo or it's Mewtwo or it's Articuno. These are the two Pokemon that I really like. You know, so these are my two favorite. Yeah.
Nice, man. Awesome. I appreciate it, Uman. You have a good morning. Hopefully you get some sleep. I will let you go. I'll talk to you soon, I'm sure. So.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for your time today, and we'll catch up soon.
Hell yeah, man. I'll talk to you later, man. Have a good one.
All right, man. Take care.
Bye. Bye.